How do you retire with $1 million by age 50? Well, there's a few different things you can do, and that's what we're going to be walking through in today's video. So as a reminder, I'm Taublieb, a financial planner, and I'm here to help you become financially independent. So in today's video, the goal is to find out how can you have $1 million by age 50. Now, if I were to say, hey, there's an exact formula to do that, well, then it would be very simple. If investing always went up, it would be very, very simple, and a lot of people would be doing it. But when we invest, there's a certain degree of uncertainty that we accept, and that's what allows us to reach these amazing bounds. So when we're investing, before looking at how to get that $1 million, think about why you want to invest. Now, I know that sounds very, very broad, but I always like to take a step back first and think about why you want to invest. Is it to be able to travel? Do you want to change careers? Are you in a job right now that you say, hey, I don't love it? It's not that I hate it, but maybe you want to make a switch. I don't know what's going on in your life, but the goal of this video is to give you flexibility. If you've been watching my videos by now, you know that I'm not about retirement. Retirement's not bad. I'm about financial freedom. Now, they go hand in hand, but when are you in a position where you don't have to work, and work is really something that's optional? That is the goal when we're often investing in 401ks or Roth IRAs or IRAs or brokerage accounts. And if none of those terms sounded like English, no problem at all. So the goal of today's video, how do you get $1 million by age 50? Well, there's a few different ways to go about it. The first way is, quite frankly, invest for maximum growth. Now, Ari, what exactly do I invest in? Is it an ETF? Is it an individual stock? Is it a mutual fund? Is it cryptocurrency? There are so many different ways, and there's not really a right or a wrong, but there are a few things you want to think through. For example, when we are investing for maximum growth, those type of investments, that's with an experience that you get with stocks. Meaning stocks historically grow at 10% per year. That's the historical average of the S&P 500, which is the 500 largest companies in the United States. So with bonds, which you might have heard of, bonds are not bad, but in my opinion, you own bonds for two reasons. The first reason is you just can't stomach the ups and downs of the stock market. And that's totally fine if that's you, but let's work around that. Remember, investing isn't just about maximizing return. We certainly want to do that, but we also want to align our investments with our values and our goals and really what we care about most, because money is just the tool that allows you to accomplish those goals. So back to the $1 million, how do we get there? Well, if you're investing for maximum growth, my favorite example is, let's say you invest in a Roth IRA. Now, there's eligibility limits and there's certain things you have to think about, but let's say you invest in a Roth IRA. What a Roth IRA is a Roth IRA is a way for you to put money in after taxes, so money that's in your bank account right now. I know after tax is a confusing term, but once money's in there, it now goes directly to your Roth IRA. Now, if you put the maximum in, which is $6,000 per year if you're under age 50 and $7,000 if you're over age 50, well, pretend you do that for 30 years. Let's put, for example, $6,000 in for 30 years. That's $180,000. If you're just easy numbers here, pretend you're 20 and you go, I'm going to start my Roth IRA. And if you're watching this video and you're much older, no problem, just bump it up. So let's just assume you're 20 for sample's sake, and you invest for 30 years. Well, if you put money into a Roth IRA, it doesn't just get invested for you. Now it's essentially just sitting in a bank account, which many people don't know about. But with a Roth IRA, if you invest that for maximum growth and you historically get 10% per year for 30 years, you're projected to have $980,000 or so if you just started with nothing, put $6,000 in every year for 30 years. That's $1 million by age 50. Now, what I can promise you is that the stock market will not get 10% every single year. What I can tell you is that some years it's going to be a whole lot more, other years a whole lot less. The goal is to find out what's that average, and historically that's just the S&P 500 at 10%. What about real estate? What about small companies? What about international companies, emerging market companies? So there are so many different variations when looking at this, but quite simply, to get that $1 million, you need to be maximizing growth. That is your best chance to get that. Now with a Roth IRA, you're going to say, Ari, I can almost hear some of you saying it, I can't touch the funds until I'm 59 and a half. So what good is it if I want to retire early? That's where the planning techniques start to come in to say, does it make sense to do some of it to a brokerage account where we intentionally give up tax benefits that are accompanied with a Roth IRA. That way we can touch the money and there's no additional taxes or additional penalties. Now there's a balancing act that has to go there, but there's not a secret formula to this amount to the Roth and this amount to the brokerage and this amount to saving for kids' college. It starts with you and your goals. Once we know your goals and what you care about most, then we start to build the plan out around that. So that's the framework. When you want $1 million, how do I go about it? Well, it starts with what you care about most and then investing for growth. That's all for today's video. If that was helpful, please do subscribe, like this video, and you can always click here for more videos just like this to become financially independent.